Ordinarily, as I would introduce an inductee, I would tell a few jokes or stories or a couple quick one-liners, but the next gentleman, Paul CISEK, I will not do that. You see, Paul is my brother-in-law, and I sleep next to his sister. Paul has had an outstanding coaching career, and it's been mired in a lack of media attention. It's a community college in New Jersey, and simply doesn't get the recognition it deserves. But his career is buoyed, and listen to this now, buoyed by two national championships. Two national championships, not regionals, not league championships, but national championships. When Paul was a high school student, he was a three-sport athlete, one of the last of those. We don't see many of those anymore. Everyone specializes now. But he played football in the fall, basketball in the winter, and baseball in the spring. And played at Amsterdam High when it was relevant in the Big Ten. There's a lot of you here that remember that league at one time was the elite league around, and Amsterdam was a very important part of it. But in his junior year, he had an ACL injury in football on a kickoff return. And like Tom, that knee has since been replaced, Tom. But he came back, but the surgery to repair that was not the same as it is today. And so when Paul came back, it was with one of those huge braces, and yet he endured, he carried on. And his senior year, he was outstanding in all three of those sports. And he went on to Brockport State, to play football. And after his freshman year, he realized that football probably wasn't the best decision he could have made, and so he transferred to Oswego State to play baseball for Walt Nattardi's very successful baseball program. He was a pitcher, outstanding pitcher. At the same time, I get the job at Oswego State. I have no assistants. I have no money. I have no resources. I did have a 42-game losing streak. And I asked Paul to join my staff. I think he drank in his almost everything that he could, and no task was too small. He learned that very quickly, from washing uniforms to, you can't imagine. He did everything, including filming games, and the time he spent was tireless. He paid his dues, and the next year he worked for Paul Callahan because I moved on to Michigan State as an assistant. Then after that, he went up and worked for Jerry Welsh. Forgot everything that he learned from me and paid attention to Coach Welsh. Nate, by the way, you should have gone to Potsdam, you're right. After that, he had a 4-year stint at Paul Smith's College. How many people have ever been to Paul Smith's College? Please raise your hands. Yeah, all you damn North Country people. Paul Smith's College is in the middle of nowhere, and you have to go 3 places before you can get there. Paul coached her. I don't know how he got a player there. The best school on the campus is the School of Forestry. Now, how many good basketball players are lumberjacks that you know? Paul completely turned that program around. But his business interests took him to the Jersey Shore, and he left that program behind. And during his time on the Jersey Shore, he got an opportunity to work at Wagner College for a year and another year at Monmouth College. So now he has apprenticed in a number of places, and the job comes open at Brookdale Community College. That was 31 years ago. He has been the head coach at Brookdale for this is your 31st year, correct? 31st. Hard to believe you lasted that long. I never lasted that long. I got fired before that. Brookdale has become synonymous with basketball excellence throughout Region 19 down there. 20-plus wins is the standard. Anything less is unacceptable. In Region 19, Brookdale is the hunted, not the hunter. And it doesn't matter who they have. And as you all know, junior college, you get your share of knuckleheads. you're dealing with guys, and they're in and out, and you're changing your team every year, every 2 years. There's an incredible consistency that Paul has created there. He has 600-plus wins. The thing that's maybe more amazing than that is the number of players that he's coached that have gone on to Division III, Division II, and yes, Division I programs to continue their basketball career. Cheese, as he's known by all, I truly congratulate you. And he's got an awfully good team this year, so I wish you absolutely the best as you pursue your third national championship. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. First honor is to get it introduced by Mike Dean and not get ripped, so I'm pretty happy about that. We've known each other for a long time, so we've shared our good times and bad times, but he's always been there for me, and I greatly appreciate that. Yes, I'm from Amsterdam, New York, grew up there. Basketball was not our major thing back when I was playing. We were in the Big Ten. But I was fortunate that I had three gentlemen, my freshman coach, Dick Ruback, and the reason why, only thing I really remember about Dick Ruback, he wore these blue Chuck Taylors that he'd be in style right now, so I miss Dick for that. Kenny Engel, who was a tremendous athlete at Amsterdam High School, was my JV coach, brought me up in my 9th grade year and kind of worked with me and worked on all the defensive stances and really started to explain the game to me a little bit. And then came Rick Setner, who is in the Hall of Fame. And if you know Rick, Rick was fiery, and I got to see another aspect about coaching where the desire to teach and make a program and battle the big-time teams that we had to play in the Big Ten. After that, as Coach said, I did go to Brockport. I did suffer a knee injury, and back then they cut you with a butter knife and wrapped you up and put you back out there. But unfortunately, it kind of curtailed what I could do. So when I was at Oswego, he asked me to be, as what they would call them today, a video coordinator / utility. Basically, any of the crap jobs that nobody wanted to do, that was my job. Thank God my sister was there because she was able to kind of say, wait a minute, he ain't doing that or whatever. But it was a great experience because I had an opportunity to work with Charlie Kamad and Dave Shalfo, who played for Mike at Delhi, and he was also at Oswego, and all those guys. And I just saw a picture of all those guys, and looking back at that, it was a great experience in stopping that losing streak. After that, I did work with Paul Callahan, who was also in the Hall of Fame, coached at Mexico High School, and it was a great opportunity for me because he was much different than Mike. And if you know Mike on the court, one side of the rainbow to the other. But I got to see the intensity and enthusiasm, and that really helped me. Then I was fortunate to go to Potsdam State. I worked with Jerry Welsh for 1 year. I actually roomed with Mo Woods, and Derek Rowland was around, and I got to meet those guys after they had won championships. And what a tremendous experience. As Coach K-Mac said, I remember a quick story about Jerry. We went to recruit at Glens Falls State Tournament, walked in, and someone stopped Jerry, and he knew him by the first name, last name, knew his wife, knew the grandmother, knew the kid, and talked to him for about 10 minutes, introduced me, walked away. I said, Coach, when did that person play for you? I said, no, I recruited him about 15 years ago, and he didn't come to Potsdam. What was unique, he remembered everybody in that family, knew him by first name, and I knew, wow, what a recruiter. And I got to learn how to take a program that is successful and keep it going. After that, I had the opportunity to go to Paul Smith's. And some of you probably, like you said, if you go to Paul Smith's, you're lost. So living up in that area, and after 4 years, and matter of fact, one of my first recruiting classes, David Spears, I don't know where you are, but David Spears was my player. There he is, point guard. I have had three tremendous point guards 2 we won national titles with at Brookdale. David Spears was one of the toughest guys I ever had. And thank God he came there and helped me turn that program around. Got a lot of great players out of Saratoga, and I recruited the Capital District, very, very hard in Troy and whatever. I then had the opportunity to meet a guy, Wayne Zook. Wayne Zook was at Columbia University, just got the job. At that time, it was Monmouth College, then became Monmouth University Northeast Conference. He hired me and gave me the opportunity to be part of his staff and to try to rebuild that program. Well, that year we went to the final game in the Northeast Conference against FDU, fortunately lost, but I learned a tremendous amount from Coach Zook, who worked as an assistant at Princeton. I learned the Princeton offense. So up to this point, I had the great opportunity to work with some tremendous people. After that, I went to Wagner, and the thing about Wagner was Neil Kennett, who was the assistant for P.J. Colissimo, had the job. My interview was outside as he was wearing shorts and a T-shirt. It was about 100 degrees, and I had a tie on and a shirt. He looked at me, and he goes, "The hell are you dressed for?" I said, "I'm here for my interview." He says, "Here's your interview. If we don't win, we're going to get fired. You want the job?" I said, "I'll take the job." We didn't win. We got fired. So after that, I was out for a year out of basketball, and Coach Zoe called me up and said, "Listen, there's a job at Brookdale Community College. I think you'd be great for the job. I want you to go in and see the athletic director." I walked into the athletic director's office, once again in my suit and all ready to go. He was sitting there. His name was Bob Walzak. Great high school coach, great coach. He says, I got 3 years. I'm going to retire. I need you to last 3 years. I've hired 4 coaches in 7 years, and I'm not interviewing anybody else. I said, if I say I'm staying 3 years, I get the job? He said, yes, I'm staying 3 years. So I got that job. 31 years later, I'm still at Brookdale. I've been fortunate that I've had a great staff. My staff is right behind Mike's head there. They are called the AARP. If you ever get a chance to look at it, they all look like they're 70 and older. Makes me look 39, and I just turned 60. They ain't going nowhere, even if they can't hear, walk, or whatever. I'm keeping them. We've been successful at Brookdale. It's been great, and my staff has been tremendous. We've had some great players. We've sent players to a lot of Division I, IIs, and IIIs. And what's great about it now is I see them as family members out in the real world, and it just kind of motivates me. I want to thank my family, my cousin Roger, who's my godfather, and his wife, who drove all the way up, excuse me, from Florida. I'm not going to cry, Roy. I'm not going to cry. But Joyce, my other cousin, my godmother, who's also Roger's sister, kind of close to family, I'm glad that she's here, and she's always been there for me. Paul Massaroni, who also played on that Oswego team that one year. We saw a picture of myself. He kept it. I told him, please lose that. Do not give that to my wife. Next, as you know, my brother-in-law. We've had a love-hate relationship, and it's been the best thing for us because he's taught me so much about basketball and the class individual that he is. Next, my sister. I'm not going to cry, Roy. But no, on a serious note, my sister is, if you don't know my sister, she's been married with you for a long time. She is the true support, the biggest critic, but always there to be there and help to make things better. My kids who couldn't be here, and my granddaughter, my 5 grandkids, I love them to death, and they're very upset, but they've got to go to school tomorrow. My wife, who is my better half. Best thing, when you ever hear opposite attract, that's us. She don't like sports. I love ESPN. She don't go to the games. So, and I said to her, why don't you come to the games? And she said, real simple. I sat in the stands 15 years ago. Some lady was yelling, you need anger management. I'm out. I said, not a problem. But I know she's always there. To finalize this and close this out really quick, I spoke with a coach, a very famous coach, and I asked him, I said, Coach, can you tell me when I know it's going to be over? When do I know I need to step away? He said, well, here's the deal. He said, it's not going to be when you win a game, because you're going to be high and excited. It's not when you lose, because you're going to be down low and you're not going to figure out. It's that day that you don't want to go to practice. That day when you'd rather be doing something else than go to practice. Well, I'm not Iverson, and I'll tell you this right now. I have practice tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and I will be at practice. Thank you. God bless.